All right, welcome to HOD Pod, an unofficial podcast and YouTube series on HBO's House of the Dragon. I am your host, the Dark Knight of Westeros, Sir Benjamin of David, and with me as always is my Hand of the King and co-host, Sir Stephen of House Davinci. Say hello, Stephen.
Hey, what's up?
We are recording live from Davinci's Dreamworks 2 comic shop here in sunny Jensen Beach, Florida. We got comics, we got games, we got a true dragon pit this week, son.
Yeah, we actually got to see the inside of that thing.
Hell yes, but yeah, come get some comics. Speaking of comics, the Tales from the Three Kingdoms, Dark Knights of Steel comic, highly effing recommended. It's the DC Universe meets Game of Thrones. Got it here at the Davinci's Dreamworks 2, and I was very happy with that book. Mm-hmm. You read it, I take it?
Oh, yeah, I read it. That was super fun.
So good. So good. But yeah, the original book is called Dark Knights of Steel, and then there's a prequel book. Anyway, we're not here to talk about DC. Please subscribe to both audio and here on the channel, youtube.com/above and Batman Beyond, and then we are on Spotify for audio. Please, we are now on IG as well, out at House of the Dragon Pod, and Facebook coming soon. So today we are going to recap and review HOD, House of the Dragon Episode 6, The Princess and the Queen. We, as always, have news from the Red Keep. Non-spoiler initial thoughts, so we'll always have a wall. It is Game of Thrones, it is Westeros, there is a wall. The recap review proper will be our walkthrough of the episode, kind of beat by beat, of what happened. Dragon counts, which this week, son. Lowell breaks, because Sir Stephen here has read Fire and Blood, the book upon which House of the Dragon is based. That's where he gets to push up his glasses and help us out with the lore of both A Song of Ice and Fire and Fire and Blood. This week we have no IG polls at House of the Dragon Pod, but we do have a YouTube comment that I kept promising to read. Hopefully we'll actually get to that. And yeah, so let's do it. News from the Red Keep. I thought this was a fun news piece. There are now Funko Pops available of House of the Dragon. Did you see these?
Yes.
Pretty dope, right?
Yeah.
Got Daemon Targaryen with Dragon Egg. There's a couple Daemons.
I imagine that one will be popular with the ladies. They seem to love Matt Smith.
They do, man. Yeah, even this one, that Cast of Kings podcast, they tend to have like pretty, let's say, progressive feminist, admittedly feminist hosts, and they're both like, oh my God, Matt Smith's so dreamy. I'm like, wow. If they think that, then I guess everyone. Allison, so I'll go through the list. There's Daemon Targaryen with Dragon Egg. This won't take long. This is just kind of a fun news thing. Daemon Targaryen with Dragon Egg. There's Rhaenyra Targaryen. There is Alicent Hightower. We got Daemon Targaryen without the Dragon Egg. We have Cyrax the Dragon himself, who looks effing dope. Corlys Valerion. We have Otto Hightower, Alicent Hightower with Dagger, which is apparently sold out. So that's been a popular one. And then one more. We got Viserys Targaryen in his full, what would you call that, regalia?
With all of his fingers.
That's an accessory for Viserys, is to have his fingers. Oh, and I was just reading that off Funko.com. Yeah, so those are available. I don't know where else they're available. I'm sure there's, like shop exclusives and stuff like that. Is there a Davinci's Dreamworks 2 exclusive?
No, we don't have any exclusive ones, but we normally will get them in stock as they show up in the previews.
No, I mean, like, does your store, do you have a store exclusive?
No?
Come on, man. No. Come on, Funko's such a small company.
Very small. It's not like they have like a lot of figs, damn bobbleheads.
Dude, that company's so big that when I would cover them at Comic-Con, it would be like, it was like the least amount of, it was them and Lego were like visiting the president. It was like, right this way, sir. Like people with like security things. It was nuts. And anytime the dude, Brian Camarado, I think his name is, the guy who owns the CEO of Funko, it was like, especially every year they got more and more popular. So I would cover them from like 2016 through 2019 at Comic-Cons. And man, actually no, 2020. I was at Toy Fair as well. And whenever that guy was on the floor, it was like the president, like it's like Elvis is in the building. That's so funny. But yeah, check out the Funko Pops for House of the Dragon. Did you have any other news from the Red Keep? I feel like it was a pretty light week beside that, right?
Well, other than Millie Alcock, that's young Rhaenyra. Mm-hmm. She was talking about I guess how fucking intimidating it's been, that seeing her face everywhere and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. She has been like talking to a few news outlets about that. It's like, it's just so different. Like, I'm just normal. I hang out with normal friends, do normal things. But yet I see my face everywhere and everyone recognizes me as Rhaenyra, and it's stressful. So she was just talking about how different it was from all the other stuff that she does, I guess. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that, especially for someone that young. I mean, she's what, like 20 in real life?
22, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's young, and to be someone who has no profile, pretty much, right? I mean, compared to this, like, no one really knew her for much.
Primarily has like random shows and a few movies, but they're like other country stuff. So.
And it's not like the rise of any of the other actors on Thrones standard, which was like, it took Kit Harington a couple years to become Jon Snow. Whereas now, if you're the star of a Game of Thrones thing, you're already Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, you know, she's also, all actors are self-involved, so she probably likes the attention, I'm sure. Just no, some actors are surprisingly, it's weird that like they do a performative thing, but some of them are very, very private. And I mean, also being famous nowadays is a totally different game.
Yeah, I guess it's so different from being like, I guess, mega famous to just, I did some movies and some random shows in different countries, but she just still wants to do the normal thing. And, you know, I guess when the paparazzi comes around.
Yeah. Cool. So we are moving on now to our episode 6 non-spoilers. So, Steven, what are your non-spoiler thoughts for The Princess and the Queen?
Ooh, boy, we got some dragons. We got mentions of dragons. We got dragon eggs. We got big old dragons. We see the dragon pit, scarred up dragon dudes with sticks, the most baller, and definitely the most baller dudes in all of Westeros. It's like, come on, guys. Just start sending them out on the army.
Yeah, the High Valyrian speaking. Oh, so bad.
Oh, yeah, they just stand in front of the dragon with their stick like, hey, I tell you to breathe fire when you're allowed to breathe fire.
I speak Latin and you obey.
And the dragon's like, please, sir, no more stick. Not the thing made out of wood and the fire-breathing monster. Threatening.
Yeah.
Don't make me yell at you in High Valyrian.
So other non-spoiler thoughts?
Good to see that King Viserys is still alive. You know, at the end, you know,
Was
it's ambiguous. Was he just gonna be dead? I wasn't sure with how much they want to change from the book and stuff. Were we gonna show up and be like, and he died? Like, oh, okay, well, that's how it is. I mean, but he's not looking too great there. Like balding, got the spots all on his head.
Yeah.
Looks like complete arm loss. Lets his little sleeve flow though in the wind.
Oh, I didn't notice. He has no right arm?
Yeah, it's like,
or left, whatever it is.
We don't know how much is there, but the sleeve is just kind of just waggling along.
Gross.
Looks like the stress has gotten to Lionel Strong, because as being hand of the king for the 10 years, this is a 10-year time skip, and yeah, he's looking a little rough.
Yeah, we should have said 10-year time skip. In
Yeah,
case
10-year time skip.
you didn't watch. I'm sure everyone knows this is the episode. We talked about it last week as the news from the Red Keep was the switch of the cast and everything. But yeah.
And we got a bunch of new cast members for Lena Valerian. We see some of the kids who are just new. We see all the new actors for all the children. Then Alicent's new actor and Rhaenyra. Those are like the big ones. And they basically just kind of do a roundup news article for us, like we're doing for you. Or they're like, and the stepstones are a problem again. And there's bullshit afoot. What are we going to do about it? I don't want to do anything. Over there, it's like, I just want to play with my Lego kid.
So it seemed kind of exposition-y to you?
A little bit, yeah.
Agreed.
Definitely a little light on stuff. It's a lot more like finger-pointing accusation. I would not say as bad as the last episode, but, that's a low bar that we had to get over.
Oh, yeah.
Low bar.
Steven said off mic, he's like, I liked it better. I immediately started laughing during our sound test. I was just like, low-ass bar, son.
Yeah.
Any other non-spoiler thoughts?
Non-spoiler. No. We can get right into some of this mess.
Cool. Yeah, God. I'll pick up on that. For my non-spoiler thoughts, I think it was pretty messy. I think the behind the scenes, as always. I feel better when I watch what Ryan Condal wanted to do in the behind the scenes, but that doesn't help me as I'm watching a thing, which is, he said this was another pilot. And all right, you did a 10 year time jump mid-season. That kind of makes sense. You'd have to do another pilot, but it's still TV, son. It's still television. Like, you had a mess of an episode last episode, and now you're going to do this, which just seemed like, again, it was messy. It was a pilot, and I understand that I understand and respect there's a ton of heavy lifting that they had to do. I think that the sketchboard, similar to, hearing the behind the scenes, if I had seen, I think I said this last episode, if I had seen their kind of like writer's room note cards on the wall and where they were going with the outline of the episode, let's call it, cool. Execution in this episode, to me, was weak ass sauce. Like, I just don't, even some of the the performance, I think the words coming out of their mouths were fine, and then the actors
except for Kristen Cole.
Oh God, yeah. Believe me, there was cringy dialogue. I just mean execution all around, like from performance to editing to, whereas 2 episodes ago we were just lauding the editing. It's just like, lauded is the right word, right? Like, really good editing. This, I don't know what's going on, but I think the dragon stuff kept me going. The political intrigue stuff, certainly they stepped it up from last episode for sure. I don't think it was, I'm not going to say it was bad, although I did say it was a mess. I just can't really say I liked it. I'm not going to say I don't recommend it like I did last episode, which once again is a weird thing to say with TV. You kind of have to watch each episode to know what's going on. Last episode, I think what I said was, in terms of recommendations, I don't recommend it, meaning like don't rush to watch it. I would say,
technically, they played the little recap at the start of this episode, and I think it literally showed you all the stuff that you needed to see from last episode. I mean, it literally did. It went through all the beats, the things we talked about. Like, this is what's important.
Oh, so it's
for the
recommendation.
episode.
Yeah, you don't even need to watch.
Yeah, just watch the flashback or the recap in the beginning instead of last week's episode. And then you understand what's happening this time. Other than there's a few things that are going to be a little non-understandable at the moment.
It's like when I recommend The Sopranos to people who've never seen it. I always say, you could literally watch the season 1 recap in the beginning of season 2, episode 1, and literally just watch the whole show. You'd be good. Season 1 has its moments for sure. I've cut back on that recommendation. I don't want to get into Sopranos too deep here, but point is, it is, a similar type of show of big kind of epic political / gangster intrigue drama. That's a show where like you could literally just watch season 2 and moving forward. Yeah. So good. I'm glad you brought that up for the recommendations. Don't watch episode 5 ever, guys. Ever. Just don't ever do it. No point. All right. So the wall. We climb the wall.
We climb it.
All right. So episode 6, spoiler walkthrough. This is when we walk through beat by beat of the episode. We open the princess and the queen. I guess this is going to sound gross. We literally open the princess. I didn't think I'd ever see in a movie an audible birth. Like, of all the births I've seen in movies, from cheesy 90s flicks like 9 Months, all the way up to even just whatever, like gory stuff, horror stuff, whatever. Alien, maybe in an Alien movie we heard, but like you could hear the baby coming out.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that we know, that they have a lot of women that are giving their opinion on stuff. Like, they wanted the scene with Emma Targaryen in the first episode to be kind of gruesome.
Yeah, they kept saying
more
like
bloody.
more blood.
Yeah, they want you to see the horrors of that type of C-section that she had done.
The visceral.
And this is the same way. They want you to experience the pain so you understand like what it means to be a woman having to give birth. And especially in this time where you don't really got medicine or anything. You don't drink some milk of the puppy? No, I don't.
Yeah, where was the hand sanitizer when they were passing the baby around?
There's no hand sanitizer. And
yeah, I actually respected that a bit. Of like, wow, all right, this is definitely from a female perspective. When I seen grossed out before, it was just on a human level, not like, Like, they did their job in that respect, I think.
Yeah.
I also thought it was good editing to, again, open with a birth. I was saying with the 4 C-section from the pilot, I thought that would have been a great opening to that. So how did you feel about the audible birth overall?
I mean, I thought it was fine. It's getting more female perspectives for actual things that involve them in movies and shows is fine. Like, I'd rather like get the full experience that they want to convey and have the feeling while watching the show. So, good props to you guys.
Namely in a show that chooses pretty directly to be about sex, about power, about things that involve necessarily the female experience. So, yeah. She's kicking like a goat, princess. Or he.
Yes, because she has another boy. So we're like, okay, we got at least 2 from this moment that we can see. Nice white baby.
I was going to say, also worth noting, white.
White baby.
Yeah, so when your husband's black, arrangements aside, not a lot of due diligence when the babies just keep coming out white.
You could just assume the Targaryen bloodline's the strongest blood.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and
the dragon blood.
Human biology aside, the Targaryen genes are dominant in this case. Yeah, in case you're not familiar, black genes are dominant, so it's not a thing, which is smart to put in this, of like, obviously the writers are very self-aware, and you said it was as such in the book, right, where it's, black genes are, I believe, Asian as well, so it's like these aren't a mix that you can hide, so when a baby just keeps coming out white and the husband's black, boop, yeah.
But yeah, she gets to see the baby. She's like, pretty happy there. But then immediately like, the queen wants to see the baby now. And so they would normally take the baby and go show it to the queen, but Rhaenyra's having none of that.
Yeah.
So she just immediately just like drops all the afterbirth. They cut that umbilical corner, wrap it up for you.
Yeah, real quick. Let me just afterbirth this.
He said, hold on, I got this grits down. This.
She didn't even sit. She's like, I can do this.
Okay. All right. Trust me. Trust me. And it's like, husband, let's go. It's like, the queen now? And it's like, yes. Now just hold my arm or something. It's like, do you want to stop? It's like, no, we got to keep going. She's literally like, I'm going to fucking fall on the ground. Got to keep walking. So yeah, she does. Because it's like, Rhaenyra, you didn't have to show up yourself. Okay, well, sure.
I'm sure you would have liked that. I think she says something along those lines too. It's like, I'm sure the queen would have wanted me to stay lying.
And of course, yeah, Viserys is super excited. He wants to see his grandbaby, my grandson. Yes.
King denial, dude. This guy.
I got another grandson. And
another bastard. Yes.
I think it doesn't matter for him really, as we saw, like with making sure she got the tea.
Yeah.
All he cares about is Rhaenyra and his line. Like, it's Rhaenyra's baby. So it doesn't matter. Like, to him, it's like, nope, it's a Targaryen. Yeah. That's all that matters to me. In fact, it's probably better off for him. It's like, because the deal that he made is they'll be born of Valerion, but they have to take Targaryen. Well, in this case, it is just a Targaryen. So Viserys technically got what he wanted. He's like, it's just a Targaryen.
You think he is smart enough where that could be in the back of his mind, right?
It's possible. I mean, he's definitely in full denial.
Yeah.
And Alicent immediately.
Denial. Grandparents are very good at, and they have to be, because things are out of their control. You can't pass judgment by that generation. You're just kind of like, well, if you want to give the kid the iPad.
Yep. And so Alicent immediately is like, look at this fucking hair. Nope. Black. Looks right at Laenor. It's like, maybe one day she'll give birth to one that looks like you.
Yeah, burn, son.
It's like,
shit.
He's just kind of like,
it's like, yeah, about that.
That'd be real hard.
Hey, but that would take away from my time with Call with a Q.
It looked like Alicent has redesigned her room. No more like sexy orgy posters.
Yeah, what happened to the orgies on the wall, man? Come on.
Well, 10 years, I guess, of her being the queen, she turned into like the bad bitch. She's
what a
like,
bitch.
I want this redesigned. I don't have to really deal with Viserys if I don't want
now
to.
I know how to have sex with a zombie.
Yeah, I can just like demand people to show up and submit before me. Have creepy dinners with creepy people.
Well, all right, so we're on Viserys. How and why the fuck is he still alive?
I don't know. I could assume let's assume the other maester actually did his job.
Not the gnome guy?
Yeah. I think it was Alwyn, because they did say his name in the last episode. Because he's there at the council. He's there now with the Grand Maester.
Oh, yeah, the black dude. Yeah, yeah.
But the Grand Maester, he's getting senile, man, because he's like, he's not even able to keep up with conversations. And he's like, no, we're off that. We're onto the stepstones.
We're off that, bullet to the agenda.
Right. So I think maybe because like that guy stepped in because he's younger. He was probably like awake and ready to go to help Viserys, helped him. And then now Grand Maester Dementia over here is just like, just shove some leeches and milk of the poppy up his butt. And this guy's like, he's getting some herbs and penicillin.
Yeah, he's essentially like, let's do antibiotics, a systemic approach versus a literal fucking leech Band-Aid on a wound. Yeah.
Yeah, it always reminds me of that movie, like, what's it, A Million Ways to Die in the West, where they make fun of the Wild West doctor. It's like, why don't you just have the woodpecker peck out all the blood?
Yeah, the doctor in the Old West used to be like a barber. The barber was the doctor. You go, he would like bloodlet and cut things off of you. Good
it's
guy.
like, oh man, that rattlesnake bite looks pretty gross, but we'll fix that.
I'll need a dime for that. I need a bath, a leech, and a woman.
The woman's for me.
Yeah. In that order.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, do you think, real quick, just to wrap up some Viserys' health situation, then we'll move on, is like, do you think with that more effective maester around, there was a systemic approach? What annoyed me is just there was no, like, thank God I healed 10 years ago. Like, nothing.
No, I think he's too fucked up. I think basically in the 10-year skip, he's probably aging 5 years every year based off looking at him.
Oh, sure, he looks terrible, but I just mean, like, no open sores, no, like, gross close-ups of, like, this guy's fucked up.
Yeah, the only thing we got to see is that, like, he's visibly, like, aged and not doing good.
Totally.
He's probably missing all of that arm.
That's a good point. They do give us, like, look, for 10 years, this dude is fucked. Yeah. So at least, like, while it might have been the immediate threat of, like, whatever caused him to keel over at the shotgun wedding and all that shit, the blood, that's healed, but it's at the cost of, like, kind of like the Babylon 5 thing of, like, you have 20 years to live. That's it. That's all you got.
Yeah.
So the cost here is aging. Got it. All right.
I did like some of the lines during the Viserys stuff. Like Viserys and, like you said, Grandpa Denial. This is like, oh, I do believe he has his father's nose.
Which is just...
Unless he's going, breaking the fourth wall, and he's like, and by father, I mean, that guy over there. But then,
Psych.
he's like, how are you doing, Rhaenyra? He's like, I think I called the midwife a cunt. And I was like, I kind of like that line. That was kind of fun.
That was a good line. Good use of cunt last episode and this episode.
Oh, well, this episode has a not good use of the word cunt, too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. You're going to get that one soon.
Just fell over physically.
Oh, not to mention, when Rhaenyra and Laenor show up, they're greeted by Sir Christian Cole outside the Queen's chamber. So Sir Christian Cole is now the guard to the Queen.
Yeah.
And he just gives them this petty look like, and then slowly lets them in. Like, yeah, I'm only bleeding here. I have to, like, keep actually walking. It's like, show no concern to me whatsoever. Jeez. Gave you the night of your life, knight.
Gave you the K night of your life. Yeah, that whole... And so, I mean, yeah, I guess we can hit it now. It's been 10 years. They're clearly trying to show us there's a bitterness still from Kristen Cole against what's going on. It's like, I have a Dark Knight Rises problem with this. I was about to say Dark Knight. But in Dark Knight Rises, it's like, 8 years this fucker hasn't been Batman. Why exactly? And it's like, whatever explanation we get, now we won't go into details about the Dark Knight trilogy, but it's just like, I'm not buying why the world's greatest detective and the most obsessed, intelligent human being on the planet quit that job. I'm not convinced here of, like, 10 years, a dude who, as we established, Kristen Cole fucks. Like, this dude told us in episode 3 or 4, whatever it was, about, you know, his adventures, and, like, he got around and can still, he's the knight of the Queen's Guard, and the fact that he is still just, like, this crazy-ass family And if you're going to do that, it's like there wasn't enough to show, I don't think, that they were like in love. I don't know. I'm not buying the whole bitterness thing 10 years later.
He was just cunt struck.
Good enough. I'll go with that. Yeah, so and then finally, as we said in that Queen's Chamber scene, such a good line from the Queen. She's just like, "Keep trying, Seleno. Sooner or later, you might get one that looks like you."
Yeah.
Burnski.
So they promptly leave, and then you see that there's a trail of blood leaving the chamber.
Which I liked.
Rhaenyra's only able to hold it in a little bit longer before she finally gets to go and...
She's so lazy. Holding that blood. God. You're messing the Red Keep. Then we're back in the princess's chambers. This is the commander of the city watch at Rhaenyra's chambers. Right away, you're just like, okay, so this is the new guy that she's agreed to fuck, and it happens to be another knight who has authority. And it's
Strong, Harwin Strong, Lionel Strong, hand
who
of the king's
conveniently
son.
was the guy who broke up. He was the bouncer of the last.
Oh, he wasn't the bouncer. He just scooped Rhaenyra and ran. He's like, got her. Like, that's it.
And so we're supposed to care and buy their relationship from that, leading up to this.
Yeah, it's weird.
How did you feel about all this?
Oh, so in the book, yeah, she's rumored to have the children with him, but it's possible that the first child is actually with Christian Cole because she may not have actually taken the tea. We don't know.
Right.
Everything is a hard rumor. Nothing is ever stated because that book is told from like other people's perspectives, never from them. And so, but they are like light skinned, dark hair. So you're like, okay, it could be either one of them.
Yeah, they look Dornish at best. Yeah.
But that's the thing. She kind of has like this Lester relationship vibes with Harwin Strong and Christian Cole when she's younger. And the only time we see her interact with Harwin Strong is when she's running away from getting all hot and bothered from Daemon. She runs past him. That was
Harwin Strong?
Yeah, that's the guard that stops her.
Okay.
And looks at her, and then he sees Daemon, and then she runs off. So, because he knew immediately that was the princess, but let her go. And then at the the reception, the red reception.
Yeah, the red rehearsal dinner.
Yeah. He runs in and scoops her up and gets her out of there. So I mean, but then again, like, would he have really had time to swoon her over? Because they have the shotgun wedding like right after that. And I'm like, what? Maybe because Christian Cole was being a little bitch. And she's like, well, this guy, he's a strong knight. I like that. I'm still thirsty as fuck. So who knows? Daemon's still not being Daemon. Told him to take me to Dragonstone and bang me, and he wouldn't.
My whore's not agreeing with me. My hot uncle's not agreeing with me.
Damn hot uncles.
Damn knights.
Yeah, so it's very clear that in the show is straight up like, it ain't a rumor. He's the dad.
When he is standing there rocking the kid and they cut away, I'm like, that looked like a scene from a fucking Hallmark movie. Like this again, the editing. Is just
we see the other
annoying.
2 kids as well, and the other 2 kids come up and see him, and they know him and like that he's around and stuff. It's like, yeah, you like that's your father, and we get that a little bit later.
It's
too.
like so obvious, yeah.
Yeah,
the whole
one
thing.
of the kids is like, that's my father, isn't it? Like,
all right.
All the Lannister kids were retarded, didn't know that Jaime was dad, except for the daughter. The daughter kind of always knew, she said.
Right.
But the other 2 were like, I
know.
You mean the guy that always watches over me and looks just like me and always probably is banging my mom based off those rumors is my dad?
But still, like, the Jaime Lannister thing is a perfect, I mean, I'm sure we're not the only ones. It's a pretty obvious connection here of like a knight who's the bastard father of somebody important. And it's like, I just think in Thrones, you're not supposed to like Jaime Lannister, but the genius of Thrones is you like Jaime Lannister. And this, I don't give a fuck about this dude.
Yeah.
They have done absolutely nothing to make me care. And you're 6 episodes in.
Yeah.
And 10 years, apparently, which, again, I know that time jump's hard, but you need to fill in, make believe of the 10 years that we've been experiencing. You know what I mean?
They legit should have had Harwin Strong, like, macking on her the whole time that
Set
we
up.
see that she's like with Christian Cole, like at the hunt. At the hunt, he's there. That's when Viserys is drunk and goes, "Let me guess, you want me to marry my daughter to your strong knight son?"
yeah.
He's like, "Oh, no, you honor me, sir, but no, you should do this." But he should have been there because we saw Creepy Strong is there. He's there sitting with the ladies getting all the tea. And Harwin should have been there, like, kind of hitting on her. And because she's a thirsty young princess, she'd be like, okay, I'm into this. Because at that point, Christian Cole's like, "My oath, I will not break it and not bang the princess." This guy's like, "I'm down. Well, you ready to go?"
Yeah.
And you just have him keep on and on. Like that exchange
just
in
set up
the
a love
alleyway.
triangle. Yeah.
So, you just set up your love triangle. It's not like it's hard, guys. We've seen it hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Shows, movies, everything. You can get a woman's perspective on the love triangle.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been very interesting to see. I guess the closest we got is the Twilight stuff? Is that the closest to a woman's perspective love triangle?
I don't know, Steven. I know you're a big fan of Twilight, but I'm not.
Listen, if you have a girlfriend,
Yeah.
you have seen that movie,
That's true.
especially when those movies are in theaters. If you were dating a woman, you saw that movie because she took you to see it.
Yeah, I was the boyfriend who refused to go. That's probably why we broke up.
I was like, fine. Italy. Maybe there'll be some vampire punching werewolf action in this show. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe.
I just remember I was in Italy when those movies came out, and the girls were like, "We're going." I'm like, "Benjamin is not." But I had the convenience of being able to leave the country soon enough, so that's how I got out of that one. So Commander of the City Watch, once again, the whole thing is so obvious. I like that line, though, when she's like, "A sudden insolence runs in the family, I'm afraid." I don't know. Maybe I didn't like it, because then it cut to him. It should have just been, the cut should have been her saying that, looking at him, so we know what she's thinking, and he's thinking. But the shot of him rocking the fucking kid is just like, we get it, dude.
Yeah, and just before that, too, it's Queen Alicent kind of ranting to Christian Cole about it. I was like, everyone sees it. It's like, the king sees it, but he says nothing. Like, she's just doing this thing. And so Christian Cole is this wall for Alicent to talk to because she knows that he was the discarded whore. And it's like, yeah, you know very well what she's capable of and what she does. So she's just banging the next night. And I think she's like feeding into that. And then we get Sir Incel of Cole. And he straight up is like, that cunt.
Spoiled
cunt. And I was like, whoa. Even Alicent's like, geez, bro, calm down. I was like, I offered her all the cinnamon, all the oranges. All the oranges! She rejected me. And I'm like, woo! Oh, look what they did to my boy. They massacred him. He's like the coolest knight from that book. Why?
He's a kid in high school who gave all the hot girls rides everywhere, and then was like, when he didn't get any, was like, "But I do all the stuff for them, and I buy them stuff and drive them around." And it's like, right.
But it's so weird because
and now you're surprised they won't bang you?
He's the quarterback. Everyone does want to bang him.
I know! For him, it makes no sense.
I don't
It's terrible. I completely agree. That was a perfect way to put it. Yeah, Sir Incel Cole.
Like, all right, we're gonna scene trade. Let's go to the dragon pit where everything is awesome.
Wait, so hold on. Before we get there, we had our. Oh, actually, yeah. This is the order of things. So it went from the Commander of the City Watch at Rhaenyra's chambers, the obvious daddy thing, baby daddy, and then we got our dragon pit. So I guess now is as good a time as any. You want to do our dragon count now that we're at the dragon pit?
Yes. Although there's a couple of dragons we'll see after that, but we can start now. All right, so great. We see in this one it is Jacaerys Targaryen. Mm-hmm. He's the eldest son of Rhaenyra and Laenor. Heart went strong. Yeah. And he's getting his dragon. Obviously, the dragon's already hatched. So he's a juvenile little baby dragon.
Yeah, like this, like dragon tot,
yeah,
toddler dragon.
These guys with the sticks brain him up out of his little cages. Like you gotta talk to him, and command him. So like he'll just fucking rush you, and he has to tell him to halt in High Valyrian. And you see this grizzled dragon pit guy too. He's got scars on his face, and I was like, dude, that dude has been in some scuffles with the dragons.
Oh, the origin of that guy. Yeah.
I was like, what a badass! You go in there and you just like fucking slap him around with that stick, and one bit you in the face, and you still are like, what did I tell you? Bite him back? Is there a dragon with a human bite mark on him? It's like that whole ideology is like, oh, I bite the dragon back, he'll know his damn place. Like, okay.
Human teeth, huge threat to it.
Maybe the baby dragon, sure. That'll teach them. You teach them when they're little hatchlings. They try to nip at you, slap them around. Maybe.
That's true. I mean, yeah, if you have them as like chicks, essentially, just slap that little bitch around.
So you teach the dragons to fear the big ass sticks while they're little babies. You just give them a little bonk, and then they know. Then they always have the fear. You just do the, and the dragons just like gets that embedded memory. No. I don't want to be bonked.
I'm still 3 inches tall.
Even they're this big. Rhaenyra's dragon in the first episode. He's like, don't make me. He's like,
my bad.
Oh, not the stick. Oh, God.
I know. This fucker is like raptor size.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a full velociraptor with wings. But yeah, so Jacaerys is like, hey. Talking to it in Valerian, it's like, ooh, can I do it? Because they bring a goat up and tie it up, and it's like, can I do it? And it's like, yeah. It's like, Dracarys, light the goat on fire. And the dragon's like super excited. He's over there cooking his food. All the other kids are there too. So it's the middle child of Rhaenyra is there, whose name escapes me at the moment, probably because they really didn't mention it all that often.
No, they didn't.
You have. Oh, by the way, the child born, Laenor names him Joffrey. Off of the Night of Kisses with the hole in his face.
Good call. Wow.
Yeah. It's like, okay, sure. Then you have Aegon.
Wow, I just realized. I feel so dumb. All I could think of was Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yep, no. You have Aegon the Second. That's why the king says, that's an unusual name. It's not very Targaryen.
Well, it's my boyfriend's, of course.
We should also reiterate, too, with this, that in other relationship stuff with the woman sleeping around and getting pregnant, this is an established like deal between Rhaenyra and Laenor. Like Laenor knows what's up. It's not like he's banging the dudes as per the agreement. They even mention it. They're like, and she's even still cool with it. She's like, dude, bring your guy. We'll probably need the help anyways. I'm gonna need a sword. You're obviously love cleaning that sword.
You need a sword too.
Yeah. So whatever you want to do, you bring them along. And
Rhaenyra Targaryen, coolest wife ever.
It's a swear, yeah, because they made that agreement early on, and she honored it. She's like, listen, just let me bang some hot ass knights. We'll get some strongest kids. You never know. Maybe Laenor like approved of which one. It's like, which one do you want to be the father of our children?
Yeah, you think they do that thing of like, I don't want to say it on here, but when gay guys have female friends, like I think they do that whole thing.
That's very possible. It's like, yeah, that one, yeah. That's how I envision myself.
They gossip about boys and shit.
Harwin Strong, because at least like Harwin Strong, they describe as like this kind of handsome, tough, strong ass knight. And so he's like, yeah, that's me. That's what I want to be. If I was not a gay guy, that's what I would be. It's like, okay, you got it. So yeah, back to Dry Pit. We got Aegon the Second. He's the
gay lovers aside.
Yeah, he's the eldest son of Alicent and Viserys, and then we have the younger one, who's my favorite in the books, which is Aemon Targaryen, and which they call him Aemon the One Eye, because eventually he wears a patch and stuff, but he's obviously got his eye is blind. It seems like is what they said. In the
didn't
show.
Notice.
Well, that's just what they said. It's like, oh, you'll have to close one eye when you ride the dragon, because apparently
that's what that was.
Yeah. So apparently he still doesn't have a dragon yet, which they tease him in this episode very quickly. So dragon count number 2, we get the Pink Dread, which is just a giant pig with paper wings attached to him as they troll him. But they do mention that Aegon has Sunfire. Sunfire came from one of the clutches of eggs from a dragon called Dreamfire. So that's cool. Other dragons we see, Syraxes as always, because sexy uncle's out flying around doing stuff. We see Vhagar, the last of the 3 original dragons that conquered Westeros. It's fucking massive.
She said it's the biggest,
elder dragon. Yes, it is the biggest one.
Oldest. It's essentially the Baelor. Is that the name of
Baelor the Dread and the one that Visenya
Balerion? That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
Balerion the Dread and The other one escapes.
So it's essentially the still living Balerion the Dread.
Yes. So yeah, that one's still roaming around, and it is under Lena. Lena gets it. Although that's another thing I was kind of disappointed in with the show. It's a big moment that she gets Vhagar because she's young. She's like 12, and she goes and finds Vhagar and is able to bond with it. And you're talking like, this is like the dragon. If dragons had rulers, this is the one. The eldest dragon, the strongest dragon. Their fire's supposed to get hotter as they get older.
Oh, really?
So, like, this thing's a powerhouse. And the 12-year-old gets the dragon. It's like, that's a big deal. And we didn't get that. We just flash cut. Here's Syraxes flying by with Daemon on it, and then here comes Vhagar just moving by, dwarfing him, and she's riding on it with the new actress.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, make her Storm. She looks awesome.
Yeah, she does.
And then let's see, they mentioned Syrax, which is Rhaenyra's dragon, because apparently it's the only one that's laying clutches of eggs.
So a clutch of eggs is essentially like a litter?
Yes.
Okay.
I think 3. 3 seems to be the average number that a dragon will lay. And
is there a male-female situation?
Yeah, there are male and female dragons.
Okay.
And in this case, they just don't seem to be laying them that often, because they kind of mentioned that, and it seems like only half the eggs even hatch, because the eldest daughter of Laena and Daemon still was trying to hatch one of the eggs. So
right.
we're like, okay.
That scene by the fire when she's trying to,
Yeah, and so...
cook it, incubate it.
Oh, yeah. And so we're like, all right, well, only half of them even ever hatch. So like, oh, I'll try to hatch it. I want the dragon.
I was waiting for her to just slap the egg out of the kid's hand and be like, you're going to have to do better than holding it next to a fireplace, bitch.
Oh, yeah. The kids all come back from the dragon pit, and they picked out an egg for the new baby, Joffrey. So they have it on their little steam oven, their little crock pot.
That steam table.
Yeah, it's just their little crock pot. And
real quick, when we saw that, before we see the dragon pit, he actually says, you're off to the dragon pit. Essentially, the dragon pit is like school for the Valyrian kids.
Yeah.
Or for the Targaryen kids. And I love... You see, I think it's Aegon. He literally yawns as the dragon's coming out, because for them it's like, oh, we gotta go to school, gotta go to the dragon pit,
and gotta see the baby dragon.
I thought
at that
was
point,
great.
he already has a cool one. He's like, I already hatched one and bonded with it right away. He's like, I'm such a baller.
That's true for him. It's like when you're in high school and you had to when they would have the middle schoolers come and you have to watch them or whatever for a day.
Oh yeah,
It's like this is a baby party. Why am I here?
Also interesting enough is that after they joke around with Aemon and then they leave, Aemon gets this primal call to go into the dragon pit. So he goes deeper into the dragon pit, and there's a big dragon at the end of one of the spots we're at, but it's so dark I cannot see the colors.
I thought that was a great
They don't say what the name of the dragon is, so I'm not quite sure which one it is. When I rewatch the episode, I'll try my best to
kind of hand
figure
of the
out what
king
it is.
are you?
Well, they didn't make it easy.
No, they didn't.
No, at least in the show, they make the distinct features of them stand out and the colors. And I can normally recognize them by the colors. But this is pitch black. Even then when he lights the room up, it's just bright orange. And I'm like, well, is it Sunfire? And Sunfire's just being a dick to Aemon? Because it is Aegon's dragon. I was like, but it looked bigger than probably what Sunfire should be. So I'm not sure. Plus, in the book, that isn't his dragon. Yeah. We actually see the dragon he gets in this episode.
Shit. Yeah. All right, so let's go through the list, and then we'll get back to dragon stuff. But I do want to continue with the walkthrough. So what's the official count list? We got
that we see.
Who's the toddler? Who's the dragon tot? Who was that?
That's Vermax.
All right, so we got Vermax.
Yep. We got Syraxes and Vhagar. Those are
Syraxes
the only
and
ones that
Vhagar.
we see.
And then
we get a bunch by name.
Okay, a bunch by name. We got the mystery dragon in the pit.
Yes, we see that one, but not quite sure which one it is yet.
And then some eggs.
Some eggs.
2 eggs, I think we saw.
2 eggs.
Right?
We got an egg for new Prince Joffrey, and we got an egg for Daemon's eldest daughter.
I also liked how, I don't know if we talked about this yet, but when Alicent was like, I'm surprised that eggs even hatched. And he's like, why do you say this? And she's like, you know why. He's like, in front of the model builder, this guy's trying to help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was playing with his model, she calls him out, and I was like, that was sloppy, number one, by the queen. But number two, it's also, I did like, though, what I did like about that was like, oh, you're tying in the, it's perfect Game of Thrones. It's like you're tying in the fantasy of this whole world with the palace intrigue.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, basically it's the queen talking shit all the time. The king's just trying to build his models, man. He's like, I got my cool ass Lego set, and I literally got my Lego engineer making me dragons so I can populate my cool ass city. Jeez.
Old Valyria is almost complete.
You know when I'm playing with my Legos and not bother me. But sir, the stepstones. Fuck the stepstones.
I'm onto something here.
Speaking of that, we
Yes.
do get they do get the council meeting.
Yeah, so let's keep going here. So we we go from the dragon pit to the and I think we covered everything here. Yeah, the dragon pig, the kid sneaks into the holding area. That also reminded me, before we leave the dragon pit real quick, it reminded me of the whole, in ancient Rome they would have, I'm not going to take too much time for this, but if history bores you, but in ancient Rome at the Colosseum they would literally have like, let's pit a, pun intended, I guess, a jaguar against a panther and just see what happens. Yeah. Because Rome was conquering Africa wherever they wanted, and then they'd bring back these exotic animals to Italy and literally just be like, fight. And so I could only imagine, or actually I do know, you can see if you visit the Colosseum in Rome, you could see the kind of the holding cells of these jungle animals. And I was like, oh, that is straight out of Rome. I love that. Yeah. So now we're model building.
Oh, we have insect studies.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you, Stephen. This is why Stephen's my hand of the king. So, yeah, what the fuck was this insect study thing?
So Helena, which is the eldest daughter of Alicent and Viserys, she's weird. That's the best way to describe it.
Okay.
Even the mom's like, yep, got it. She's like, this one has 40 rings, and it has like 32,000 feet and 2 eyes, but it can't see. It's like, well, we don't know why it's there. Some things are beyond our understanding, mother. And I'm like, okie dokie. And she's even like, okay, I think mommy-daughter time is done for today. Like, yeah, Helena's weird.
I mean, nerds have bug collections.
Yeah, maybe
so she's just a huge nerd.
Yeah, she just would rather have a big giant bug dragon.
So she would be like the podcaster of the crew. Like she'd be talking about nerdy shit and
no, she's so unusual. She would just be doing her own thing. She's like that research lab person.
Got it.
Hides in the lab, studies every fucking insect imaginable. She's basically like the one that that they described in Game of Thrones. The one that was like mentally handicapped that would smash the beetles. I smashed the beetles. Except she's not messed up. So she's like, I studied the beetles.
So you think she's like on the higher functioning end of the spectrum, as it were?
Very likely.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, she is smart. Mm-hmm. She's weird. But she's more like secluded and does her own things. And Alicent's just kind of bored with it. Alice just wants to spill tea and rant. Because Rhaenyra's having like way more fun than her.
A gossip queen, dare I say, hand?
Yeah, dare we say. She's just jealous that Rhaenyra gets to bang her if she wants. And she's stuck banging the mummy.
Yeah.
The Mummy 4. I'm going to bang it.
The only thing that maybe would have been better than that Tom Cruise mummy movie.
Whoa.
Hey. All right, so we're model building, right? Viserys in denial.
So much of the denial is like, why can't you see it? The children don't even look like the father. It's like, I had a black mare once.
Yeah, this black mare story is like, awful.
It got away, came back, it had a baby. That baby was brown, the plainest and dumbest of all horses, but it was mounted by a silver stallion. And he's like, so see, we don't understand how nature works. And it's like, yeah, but did you see the deed? Did you see it? Do you know? She's like, what? I'm the king. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, we're back to this like, you must see the coitus for it to be true.
Oh, what was the other?
Come on, dude.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get to more fun stuff with Viserys later. Because there's lots of memes. I sent you some where you have to constantly over-explain everything to Viserys. Yeah. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, they had sex. They did the beast with 2 backs. They did, it's like describing Rhaenyra's like stuff. It's like going to keep going down the list until he's like, They were coupling. Oh, that one I know. That happens again in this episode.
It does. It seems like a couple times. It's just like, yeah. All I kept thinking was, I had a black mare. No one cared. It seemed like a dumb fairy tale. Like, ugh.
Oh, yeah. Then we get to Queen rant into Sir Christian Cole.
Yeah, Sir Kristen and the Queen. Yeah.
Sir Incel of Cole. He's like, spoiled cunt. Oranges and cinnamon. She turned me down. I was like, it's okay. Just calm down. Calm down. I'm allowed to rant because I'm the queen. You shut your mouth.
And there were a little bit of that felt like a callback to when Damon was like, I can talk about my brother and not you, to Corliss.
Yeah. What I find also interesting is that all the kids get along. They rib on the ones that they want to, which obviously is Eamon at the moment because he doesn't have a dragon. And but they're all friends, as they should be. They're all relatives. But
they're relatives, yeah.
Well, I mean, they are. Yeah, but they're like what, cousins?
I was trying to think, what the fuck are they even now?
Okay, so those kids,
especially when you start thinking about Damon,
those kids are half brothers to Rhaenyra,
right?
And so Rhaenyra's kids, yeah, they'd be cousins to them.
Cousins, or would they be second cousins?
I think just
second.
Right.
This is a different. It's a
it's different
generation lower.
Second cousins, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So their family, it's not too weird.
No,
with that regard, like you can easily have cousins.
Well, I guess this crew isn't the incestuous one. That's Damon's crew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one's not even that bad either, because they said that the Valerians, they were part of like old Valerian stuff. So the houses have been.
But I thought that was technically his niece. No. Oh, you're right. That's not as close as he and Rhaenyra were. Right, I guess I'm projecting the Rhaenyra situation onto it.
Yeah, he's brothers with Viserys, so yeah, it's not as close.
Right. Okay. That's true.
It would have been weird if he had banged Rhaenyra like he really wanted to.
Right.
Or as like she really wanted to. Like they both really wanted to. But
in that super contrived rushed scene. Yes.
Moving on. So yeah, I thought it's very interesting and good to see all the kids together and have fun. But then the mom has got to interrupt her son, Aegon II's masturbation.
Yeah, he was trying to do the Homelander masturbation.
Yeah, he's out the window trying to feed the people. People, have some of the dragon seed! It's like, Aegon, what'd I tell you? Get out the window. Mom, don't look at my dragon.
Oh, my God. It's like every teenage boy's nightmare, and she just stays in the room.
Dracarys before he goes, Dracarys!
Oh, that's so good.
But yeah, she interrupts
and
his personal
like,
time.
You forgot to roll your R's. The guy with the stick, roll your R's.
No, the guy comes out of nowhere with the stick and slaps his dragon. No! But yeah, the whole time, Mommy interrupts personal time just to rant to me about how I should be king.
And like, awkward Targaryens stay in the room during this.
Yeah, and he doesn't really even care. He's just a kid. He wants to do his thing. His dad, Viserys, has already explained like the line of secession and stuff to him. It's like, whatever, Mom.
I love the line. He's your brother. He's a twat.
Yeah. He's like, that's who I make fun of. It's like, no, he's the one you got to love. You got to make fun of the others. It's like, I beat them up. It's like, oh, God. I hate when, like, an adult figure is definitely pushing children to be aggressive towards one another for their own means. It's
right. It's a thing of, like, the lighter version of it is when parents will pit their, like, if parents get divorced and they pit the kids against each other parent. And it's just like so wrong.
Or worse, when there's remarriage and you have stepchildren and the other children, and they kind of pit them against one another.
Oh God, that would be terrible.
It's like, yep. That's very common. It's like, sorry, since I'm married to your stepfather, his children come first.
Yeah, yeah. You guys won't be moving in.
Yeah. Go complain to your dad about it.
Yeah, you're gonna live at the smaller house because we like you less. But so I thought, though the whole kid thing. Fuck, I forgot what I was going to say there. But okay, anyway, we're in the awkward. She caught him. Oh, so what I was. Sorry, this is what I was going to say. Is that the kid? She's talking to the kid about succession, and he kind of doesn't care. And I just thought it was like that needed, not should have been, needed to have been way less hand-fist. Like, I know you're talking to a kid, but, like, the Genius of Thrones was people, again, saying things that they don't actually mean, but you know what they're saying. Soprano style. Like, genius dialogue, we know what they're saying, but they're not. I mean, she's just so hand-fisted, like, this is the plot, and we must move to episode 7 soon. It's like, God damn it.
Yes. We need, the audience demands big dragon battles. We can't have that if you guys are friends.
There's too much exposition. Anyway.
Yeah, right. She's just straight up like, you're gonna die when Rhaenyra is queen. It's like, oh, Jesus. Like, she straight up is like, your life will be forfeit. I'm like, calm down.
Like, Mom, my dick's still hard. Cool.
Mom, the balls, they're blue. You are the new challenger.
Yeah, she flat out was like, if Rhaenyra comes to power, your life is a threat. And it's just like, you are the challenge. All that felt very just forced. Like, that could have been done 25 other ways. I didn't mind the whole, like, awkward masturbation. I thought that was kind of funny and, like, very Game of Thrones.
He's a teenager, too. It's
yeah.
Like, whatever. Is the door locked? The door closed? Time to jerk it. That's apparently what he's going to do.
I didn't have a problem with that. It's just, yeah, that dialogue was terrible. So now we have Damon and Lena, correct?
Yep. Lena
riding in Pentos.
Yeah, they're just kind of hanging out. This was definitely a setup for.
It felt like one of those like military air shows.
Yeah. And of course, the people of Pentos, they're trying to get them to stay. They're like, we want you to stay. We'll have servants. You'll be our guests.
You guys are cool as shit.
It's like, you have dragons. Is like, we just want you to help us against the Triarchy because we know you fucked them up last time. And it's like, just keep these guys in line because they're trying to ally with Dorne, and that's scaring everyone. They're like, oh God, not Dorne. And, Damon's kind of about it. He's like, yeah, for once, it's actually a transaction. Like, they're using us. It's like, yeah, isn't it a nice for a change? They give us money. We do stuff for them. Wow, so simple.
Who knew? Yeah.
He's like, I just want to read in the Valyrian library about, my history and stuff. And she's very pregnant with their third kid. I think it's their third one. And it's like, I want my child to be born in Driftmark. And he's just kind of like, now we staying.
Yeah, so to be clear, they're in Essos, which is across the Narrow Sea. They're not even on the same continent as where we saw them last. So they're completely, yeah.
They're actually where Viserys and Daenerys were originally.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So is this set up like for where
totally.
we see? Okay.
Because like
so
I said,
this is kind of the first time the Targaryens have spent some time in Pentos?
Well, remember, like he says, he's like, your ancestor Aegon came and helped us. Like, it slew all the pirates that
during the toast, yeah.
So yeah, that family, which is all wealthy and stuff, they constantly believe in the Targaryens, and that's why they want Daemon to stay with them. And again, this is why they have that whole guest. They're super nice to Daenerys. And they look after them.
I like that. I enjoyed that this was in Pentos.
Yeah, and it makes it now like more static. Like, yes, because of what you guys have always done for us, we're going to always be there for you. So it's a static point. Now, if anyone ever questioned, well, why didn't they just send spies to go kill them while they were babies in Pentos? Well, that's why. Because they weren't letting anyone get in there to harm those Targaryen kids.
So it was like a 200-year setup for protection for the Targaryens from Essos.
Yeah.
Against Westeros. Awesome. I think she looks good. I am not a fan of Lena, the new Lena. I think her dialogue was terribly delivered. Again, I don't know if this is the actor's fault, similar to like Damon's Hole from last episode, but like,
you see, I thought she had terrible dialogue.
It could be that. Maybe that's that.
It's like
we have plum cakes.
I didn't feel like it was her. I felt like it was what they gave her. And it's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought she looked good. She
looked great. She looks fantastic. Yeah.
And we get some other birthing problems. So now we've had 3 different births. We got our normal one. We've got our C-section. Everybody dies.
4 C-section.
Yeah. And then we get our we're gonna have to C-section this baby. She's been pushing for hours. She's like, I'm done. She's done. And so same thing. They talk to the husband, and Daemon seems more concerned. He's like, will she be okay? No. So he doesn't seem to be with it. But the whole point for her is that she wants to be a dragon rider, go out like a dragon rider.
Go out on her own terms, yeah.
So she just gets up, like, bleeding, runs up to Vagar, and she's just crying and shouting Dracarys. She wants the dragon to put her down. And the dragon's like, what? No, we're connected. No. And then when she finally calms down and puts her arms out, the dragon, like, accepts the offer, and then does it. So Dracarys lights her on fire, lights her and the unborn baby on fire.
So it's now the second dead baby by Dragonfire.
Yep. Yep.
I loved that scene. I thought I didn't like the lead up to it, but I really liked her going out there, going out on her own terms, being a dragon rider. I think they did a fantastic job with almost the acting of the dragon. Like, it was a very believable kind of Dracarys, and the dragon's kind of refusing, and then it's hesitating, and then it's like, fuck, I gotta do it.
It kind of like grunts, and then it does the nod of, like, kind of respect thing. And it's like, I'm going to lose another rider. At this point, like, the dragon's had a lot of riders. It's the oldest dragon. It's probably sad for the dragon. You saw in Game of Thrones, man.
Yeah, because we talked about the bond.
When Daenerys dies, man, Drogon is not happy. Like, he's not even willing to let her go. So he takes the body and flies off somewhere with her.
Well, and he has his, melting throne temper tantrum.
Yeah, melts the throne temper tantrum. So he dips. So the dragons do not like losing their riders. It is like a bond, a spiritual level. They may even be connected. Like I suggested when Daemon got hit by the arrow and the dragon reared back. Who knows, like, what they're trying to convey or suggest in the show of how
that's
much
really
they can
interesting.
feel. Like, does a part of the dragon die when it lights Laena on fire? Like, I don't know. So who knows at that point? So it was a very interesting scene. Daemon did rush out to try to stop her, but
yeah, I just felt like the whole setup for it was exactly what we got in the pilot, and I know that's deliberate because
it's the second
he
pilot.
says it in the it's the second pilot. He said it flat out in the behind the scenes Ryan Condal of, like, yeah, he has the same dilemma as Viserys. I'm like, why didn't you make something new, dude? It just felt so.
That's where I go into one of my issues with this episode.
Okay.
Specifically, is Rhaenyra's character gets established in the first pilot and through the first half of the series as, like, I want to do my own thing. I want to be a dragon rider. Yeah, we don't get to really see her riding much.
No, we don't.
Especially later on, we don't get to see her riding much. Riding dragons much. She does do a lot of riding.
Riding the Dornish.
Yeah. And then the Strongs. And, but...
So she's a strong rider?
Yeah, she's a strong rider. But, she wanted to be a dragon rider. That's what she wants to do. She wants to go and handle conflicts herself. That's the whole representation of her. I'll walk up to see the queen myself, that bitch. She wants to see the baby. But at the same time, she's also like, I don't want to be the one who's sitting there suffering on the birthing bed, because when she saw her mom suffering and then her mom dies, she didn't want that to be her life. She didn't want to have to do that. So I don't know. It seems off-putting that she would want to, by how the show presented her, she would want to just be constantly having kid after kid and not be doing what she wanted to do anyways. Because yet she's still just kind of like being herself, but not. And
but I think now that they're in Dragonstone, spoilers, I think she's going to hop on that dragon. I think she's not neglect her kids, but I think she's going to be like, kids, I got shit to do.
Yeah.
Right? Do you get that?
Well, especially when her squeeze, she finds out what happens to him.
Oh, yeah. All right, so I just want to finish up some of this Daemon stuff real quick. I loved his High Valyrian library.
Oh, yeah.
Like, to me, that was like his own comic shop. He just gets to nerd out, hang out. He's doing whatever he wants.
Yeah, and then she's trying to talk to him about it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I didn't realize you were constantly checking on me with such detail. He's like, you're always reading these books. He's like, yeah, let me do my own thing. And then starting to sound like the Uggo in the mountains.
You know what happened to her? I mysteriously flipped her horse. And Ren stalked
an
that
accident.
bitch.
Accident happened. She fell.
But yeah, I did really like the Daemon and stuff. I felt like it was very Daemon Targaryen 10 years later. He's like trying to do the family thing, but it's also like, I don't want to be in Westeros.
Because
it was all fitting, I
the
thought.
daughter's like, Dad doesn't like me very much.
He ignores me.
It's like, I must hatch the dragon. She thinks like if she doesn't hatch the dragon, the Pentos isn't going to like her because she's not a dragon rider. Daddy ignores her. It's like, oh boy. That poor child.
And I just, he even says, like, without responsibility, the political succession BS. Essentially, he doesn't want to play the Game of Thrones. So I think it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So Kristen's conflict with Strong. So now we kind of have to move a little faster just to make sure we got everything. So Kristen's conflict. This, again, another thing to me felt very rushed. So you're better at being concise. Go for it. What happens here?
We're talking about the yard training?
Yeah.
So it seems to be that it is Kristen Cole's duty to train the kids. And that's all of them. Rhaenyra's as well as Alicent's.
Which I actually like that setup.
Yeah. So because he's the Kingsguard. He's officially a Kingsguard. Mm-hmm. So he's trained them all in their nightly duties and activities, blah, blah, blah. And then he, challenges the two boys, Alicent's kids, to come at him. So he's giving them more special attention while the other two are just kind of like whacking dummies and stuff over there. Which Harwin Strongboard was like, hey, maybe you should be showing the same attention to all of your students.
He was the dad at the baseball game. He was like, Coach, come on, put my kid in.
Like, and then he's like, fine. He's like, we'll match him up then. And so once again, pulling an Alicent, he's like, I'm going to match him up and have them fight each other on the opposite side. So they do, and they start whacking each other. It's like, yep, now kick him. Now keep him down. Don't let him get up. He's just like straight up, just like beat him up. Yeah, and Harwin Strong's not having trouble with that. It's like, starting to act like like an angry dad. And he's like, what did you say? And then jumps him and starts beating the shit out of Christian Cole. I thought he was going to like do the ending of last episode. Put a hole in him. It's like, who knows at this point what will happen to Cole. But yeah, beats him up. That's a no-no. You don't go striking the Kingsguard.
No.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Everyone's upset. Rhaenyra finds out. She does her sneaky little secret passage thing to go and listen in on what's going on. And it's literally the strong dad is yelling at the son. He's straight up like, dude, I know. Everyone knows. You're just lucky the king chooses to be blind. It's like, we got to do something about this. This is bad. Because he's been apparently ejected from being the commander of the City Watch. So essentially, Rhaenyra tries to.
So it's like he was the police commissioner essentially.
Yeah,
and now he's.
Rhaenyra tries to patch things up at the council meeting. They do their normal council meeting. They talk about their stuff and.
Wait, real quick before that, when Strong confronts Strong and he's like, "Son, you've blah blah blah," and I fucking hate in this show. They did this in I think the pilot. Rhaenyra listening in like. Once again, the highest of palace secrets being talked about in the open like a kid's cartoon, and there's like little secret places where people can listen in. Yeah. Close the fucking door, dude.
Whoops.
I don't like that felt so cheesy to me. And then again, real quick, before we move on, like the fight, that's another thing where that should have just been, he says that shitty line to him. That should have just been set, is he your son? Set up for like a fight. Even it could have been within this episode. But like for him to just jump his bones right away felt just like when the queen is rushing this exposition to the kid. Just set it up. Like you have time. It's television.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so what were you saying about... So in terms of the walkthrough, we have now Laenor and Carl with a Q. So we'll get to that in a second. What were you saying about when in the King's Council meeting?
So in the council meeting, they're doing the usual stuff. They mentioned the stepstones. It's like, hey, the Triarchy are back. They're teaming up with Dorne. And Viserys is like, well, we sent envoys to Sunsphere to try to work this shit out. Well, we're doing what we can. And, Rhaenyra's like, why didn't we, actually install battlements and position ships there? And the queen's all saucy like, our coffers are good, but we're not got infinite coffers. And it's like, yeah, well, war's more expensive.
Nice.
It's like, so, defense budget better than war budget. So let's go.
Yeah, how about like stop buying fancy wine and models, and maybe you could afford a watchtower.
Stop paying Christian Cole.
Hey.
He only likes oranges and cinnamon anyways. So she does a big offer. Like, they're about to dismiss. She's like, wait, I have something I want to say. Mm-hmm. She's like, listen, we've been friends for a long time. And she's talking seriously. And she's like, how about, because my son is going to be the heir of the Iron Throne on Jacaerys. Is like, how about we arrange the marriage between him and Helena and unite the houses? And she instead just kind of like, Sarah's like, that's fucking awesome idea. Everyone's actually pretty stoked. Like, whoa, we didn't think that was going to happen.
A most judicious idea.
Yeah, like, it's actually a pretty big deal and a good thing. And she's like, and because she's not, Allison's just not budging. So, and throwing a deal. Should my dragon Cyrax have another clutch of eggs, I'll give you one. And it's like, and that's a big deal. Like, dragon eggs they're not common. Her dragon seems to be the only one that's like actually having eggs that hatch. So that's another big deal too. So
I thought that was a hilarious sweetening of the deal.
He was like, oh man, a dragon egg as well? Like, King Sarah's like, that's a pretty good deal. It's like, and she still is like, nah. And she then talks to the king after. I was like, nah. And she's talking to Christian Cole. She's like, she's desperate. That's all it is. And it's like, bitch, you were letting there be conflict at this point. And it's like, you could end all the conflict right now. Right now. Just accept the deal. I was like,
true.
Your daughter will be on there. And if something ever happened to them, then the next kid will come up. So, whatever, bro, just get it done with.
Problem is, those high towers, they love that Game of Thrones, son. They
apparently
want their own power. They are some slippery fucks.
So she runs off to go have her secret dinner because even the king's like, "Are you gonna help me?" He's like, "No." Runs off, does her own thing. He's like, "Oh, I only have one arm though. I can't do anything." Like, so we're about to have dinner with Creepy Strong, Lara Strong, who's a creepy McCreeperton. He's like, "Oh, for once this time, after all these years of me telling you secrets, you seem to have a secret from me."
The truth has many flavors,
yeah.
Your Grace.
Oh yes, because before that happens, the hand of the king comes in and he's like, "I want to resign." He's like, because there's a shadow over my house. It's really bad. He's like,
Strong steps down his hand.
Tell me the shadow. And it's like, listen, it's affecting our names and stuff. And it's like, tell me more.
Yet another.
It's another one of those. It's like, my son has done bad things. It's like, yes, but that's not a good reason to say. It's like, he's done other bad things with the princess. The kids. My son has 3 kids.
Do I have to?
You know them? You like them? Viserys' face. What are you talking about? It's like, so, it's like, yeah, Allison's like, he basically just told you. He's like, what? Huh? Help me. Nope, I'm gone. He's like, yeah, basically your dad tried to resign. Tried? He's like, yeah, the king wouldn't let him. He's like, did he not confess my brother's sins? Is like, yeah, I mean, basically he did. It's like, and it's like, the king doesn't give a shit. It's like, okie dokie. So that seems to be
meeting annoyed the shit out of me.
That seems to be a signal for me gonna do bad stuff for the queen and get a belly rub. So he decides to.
Wait, real quick. So Rhaenyra also at the end of this King's Council meeting, she's like in the middle of her big proposal. She's sweetening the deal with a clutch of dragon eggs, and then she starts to lactate. And that's
another female perspective moment where that's like an embarrassing moment to where if they're trying to do something or be at work at post baby and then like milk starts bleeding through their outfit,
which
it's super
essentially
embarrassing.
Shouldn't be embarrassing. It's just a thing of life, but for them it is because it's it's obvious, it's a bodily embarrassment, but it's also like this is a time of patriarchy. This is a time of like, you're just being a silly woman and bleeding.
And that's how the queen like responds to her offer. Rhaenyra, you're milking right now. Yeah. And she has to sit down like.
I thought that was fascinating. Like the woman of the crowd was like, "Oh, you're a woman," and just throws the womanhood right back at her.
Oh, you mean women can be mean and spiteful at times?
No,
sorry,
especially
ladies.
to each other. When men are involved, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, when Rhaenyra lactates, then I also like when in between her the creepy strong meeting dinner bullshit and to Viserys, she's like one of her plain featured sons. I love that line. Ooh. Like that's how they word white, I guess, in Westeros.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, the queen meets with Larys. They have their creepy dinner. God.
Larys immediately goes to the dungeon, finds some bad criminals. He's like, I'm gonna get you guys off by cutting some tongues off so they can never say what happened.
And so who are these guys? Why is he silencing them?
They're just going to go do bad stuff for him. They're criminals that are sentenced to die. He's like, you guys can live, but you'll be working for me now. You just don't get to say shit.
This guy's not nearly as sinister as they're trying to portray.
I mean, the act that he does is pretty sinister considering it's his own family, which will do that.
Yeah. So at the end, sure. Yeah. I just mean, again, it's an execution problem. It's like what he's doing is obviously crazy. He's cutting off tongues. But like, I don't know. It's just not that. I'm not buying it. That's all.
Yeah. So the Strongs decide to leave for Harrenhal because that's their seat, technically.
And we already, by the way, talked about Lena and labor, so we'll skip that.
Yeah. So Harwin is... Lionel is going to prep Harwin to actually do his duty, which is be there. And he says... So since Harwin knows that he's leaving, he goes to say goodbye basically to his sons. And, Rhaenyra seems pretty upset about that as well, that he has to leave. Mm. And and then the one kid, the elder kid's like crying upset when he leaves, and then he straight up like to Rhaenyra's like, "Is that my father?" And she doesn't say no. She goes, he's like, "Am I a bastard?"
Am
like,
I a bastard?
You are a Targaryen.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, she basically was like, yes, but no. And in the books, all bastards, they're second-class people, except for Targaryen ones. Mm-hmm. They call them dragon seeds because Targaryen blood means you could ride a dragon and do stuff.
But I don't know how to ride a dragon.
No one ever does unless you have a big stick. You give it a little bonk on the head and it flies.
A little baby bonk.
How do I turn this thing on? You put in the ignition key. Bonk. But yeah, So yes, they go to Harrenhal, and then all of a sudden the dad wakes up in the middle of the night smelling smoke, and the son's out there banging on his door. Dad, I'm gonna burn! Help me! He can't get through the door. You see one of those creepy guys with their tongues cut off in a hoodie as they let part of the castle on fire, killing the father and the son. And then
right, of course, that's who would have done the burning. I didn't put that together.
And the dude, and of course, Creepy Strong goes to report back to the queen about it. Is like, I expect that you'll return the favor for me. Yes. And she's like, oh, I didn't want there to be murder. It's like, but you want your father to be hand to the king, so give him a call. It's like, call your father. Oh boy.
So yeah, he thinks that killing this hand of the king is going to be like, well, you're going to have to go back to your ex because your new husband's dead, essentially hand of the king wise. And it's like, all right, fine. Again, execution here. Like, awful voiceover. This was the chaos is a ladder speech from, what was it, Baelish in Game of Thrones of like,
it's like Harrenhal.
Why are we doing voiceover in fucking Game of Thrones? Why is it was so forced, so out of place for this show.
Harrenhal is a curse. The blood is mixed in with the mortar, so the castle judges you.
Rushed exposition.
Yeah. So Rush Rhaenyra's like, I'm about out of here. I don't want to be in the exposition. I don't want to be in this place to be possibly lit on fire. Off to Dragonstone we go. And of course, Laenor's kind of like, damn. It's like, nah, bring the dude. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's
bring
go.
Bring your soul too.
Come on, bring your butt plug. Let's get out of here. And then, they show up on Dragonstone ready to go. It's like, oh boy, you're in your.
So was that the last scene, or was it the Harrenhal was the last scene?
No, the last scene is them on Dragonstone.
Okay, it's a better last scene than this whole
which suggests that she doesn't know that they died.
Good point, right? That's good television of like she doesn't need to know yet. Like the rest of this episode, we don't need to fucking know everything every 2 minutes.
But she will know.
Again, that voiceover part when he's telling her, when Creepy Strong's telling Alicent what happened, none of that needed to explicitly be said. She could have just gotten the news of it, confronted him, and said, like, what the fuck? That's where you have your cliffhanger. That's all you need. We just show us.
He just says, I granted your wish, my queen. And just does this creepy little smile and hobbles away.
That felt like a Disney villain, dude.
He is a Disney villain. This not Disney? Disney on the show? Oh, shit.
And these lines, I mean, we have, children are a complication. You may know the right thing to be done, but love stays the hand. Love is a down. I mean, this is like when I would ask my 6th and 7th graders to be like, what was the theme of the Italian movie we just watched? And they'd be like, children are a complication. You may know the right thing to be like. This is just such reductive fucking exposition, dude.
They'd be like, what I learned is How to Train a Dragon is bullshit. All you need is a big stick, and they do what you say and yell at them in a foreign language.
All right. Well, that's The Princess and the Queen. Steven, yay.
So the second pilot's done.
Yeah.
Now we'll get into the actual rest of the series, and it was still upward. Let's say the episode was far and beyond better than last episode, but I still think the first 4 are much better.
Agreed.
And realistically, there's like no action. There's some backstabby intriguiness. There's actually more like I can't believe she did this, or I know that cunt. There's a lot of that, and I'm like is that what we resorted to? We're just calling people names behind their backs the whole time and ranting about stuff. The king won't see it. It's like, no, he does see it. He just refuses. I love my grandkids. Like,
I know, it's like it's a show of action, or supposed to be. Like Thrones is not. It's not a bunch of just.
The most action we got is tongues were cut off and people were lit on fire.
Yeah. And
some not by choice, some by choice.
Pro-choice.
Probably the best scene is, Vagar determining whether it should light its dragon rider on fire to end her suffering. To end her suffering. Because the dragon actually looked like it was having difficulty. Yeah.
The CG performance of a completely fictional giant beast was better than
Academy Awards. And Vagar the dragon for best supporting actress.
Whoever the CG nerd was who animated him, come forward. I don't know. So, final thoughts, and then we're gonna do our quick YouTube comment from a couple weeks ago.
Final thoughts. It was fine. Yeah. It was fine. There's some cringe lines you got to get through. Some cringe dialogue. There's some dragons.
Yeah.
Dragons are cool. Dragon Pit was cool.
Dragon Pit was cool.
Hopefully we get to see more dragons and dragons doing dragon stuff.
Dragony dragons.
Yeah. They always keep teasing us with stepstone fights, yet we barely see any.
I know. That annoyed me too. So we're going to keep talking about the stepstones. We got about 10 minutes of stepstones. We never even got... I didn't mind the crab feeder didn't talk. I thought that was actually kind of cool. He was doing all the head nods and shit like that. But, like, give us more of him. And now it just feels like now you're going to have to set up a new crab feeder for no reason.
Well, they're setting up Dorne to be, like, an enemy. So we got to resolve that.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But you still should have shown us some, like, villain in Dorne, like, sitting and waiting.
It's because there is no big villain. Our big villain is... It's Captain America Civil War. Are you team Iron Man Alicent, or are you team Captain America Rhaenyra? That's what it is.
But again, I mean, in the behind the scenes, which apparently is the real show, they said that we're setting up a villain of Creepy Strong.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they're doing a good job.
A villain. Sick one of those velociraptors on him. I don't think he'll be a villain.
Yes, dude.
Sorry, when the children have access to nukes themselves, a Littlefinger-esque villain is not going to work out too well.
Little shit like that, yeah. Like, have a dragon just accidentally eat someone. Just give me some fucking action here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, you got your comment. Let's go.
Yeah, so, and my final thoughts, I've pretty much just said it. It's just like, I'll copy and paste pretty much what you said. It was fine. Dragon stuff made up for what I didn't like. Again, my biggest problem was not even necessarily story and where we're going. It's execution. It's terrible fucking dialogue of, like, over-explaining everything, and I guess I'm doing the same thing now because I've already explained it. So anyway, we got our YouTube comment, youtube.com/above and Batman Beyond. This comment is from Damon Targ, so I wonder where he got that name. It says, Dance of Dragons is 3 seasons, and then they may do the Blackfire Rebellion. So Dance of the Dragon, explain what Dance of the Dragons is?
I think he means the show, House of the Dragon. Dance of the Dragons is the section of the book, Fire and Blood, where we're at.
Oh, okay.
That's what they refer to this time.
But maybe he's saying that that's 3 seasons of that section will be 3 seasons?
Because back then we were wondering how much are they going to get into. And judging by the pace that we're taking, we're not going to get into too much of the crazy big fighting. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's probably we're going to get 3 seasons of this. Well, and hopefully the middle season will probably be one of the better ones then.
Okay.
Because that should be a lot of dragon murder action and stuff.
Yeah. And then the Blackfire Rebellion. So can you say anything without spoiling? Because we don't, even though Steven knows the lore, we don't spoil lore.
The Blackfires are offshoots of the Targaryens that were banished. Okay. They live in Essos. They were underutilized in actual Game of Thrones because they still exist. They're actually a part of the Golden Company and stuff. But that would be very awesome to get. And we talked about this actually in the first episode we did, where we said that the show could make up for things that Game of Thrones forgot about and actually start doing and using the Blackfires. So I
remember you saying that.
Yeah. I know a lot of people actually love the Blackfire Rebellion way more than Dance of the Dragons in the book. I have people here come to the shop that really want them to do Blackfire Rebellion more so than this. So that would be good. But that's going to come down to popularity of the show. No more cringe lines, please.
Oof, yeah, dude.
More fighty action. I'm fine with all the female perspective stuff. That's good.
Yeah, totally
that's fine.
Good.
A lot of our main characters are women, and it's good to see how they want to see things, and seeing them all also spiteful towards each other. Pretty realistic for the most part. But yeah.
And also, again, it's change things that should be changed that will make the story better. Totally good. But when you disrupt things like the genius dialogue of Thrones, of the book, George R. R. Martin's writing, Song of Ice and Fire, all of his writing, is really good dialogue, and that's what made Game of Thrones work. We talked about this in a couple podcasts ago. The cringe dialogue, like you said, you can't keep doing this, or people are going to expect that Thrones dialogue, so it's got to stop. The last thing he says, he talked about, again, this is Damon Targ on YouTube. The mistress is Masseria, and she is a really good actress, but the accent is bad. Agreed.
Yeah,
we talked about that. She has an English accent and becomes an advisor of sorts. She is called Misery the White Worm in the books and has a Targaryen look, but people would be confused, so they changed her looks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's supposed to look like a Targaryen, but isn't a Targaryen.
She's Asian in the show.
That's why they call her the White Worm.
Okay.
Which she is referred to as the White Worm because Otto, the kid comes up and says there's news from the White Worm when Otto shows up.
Right.
She's the one ratting on Daemon and Rhaenyra's dealings in the whole house. But yeah, she actually is a much more important character in the book. She advises Otto and is basically the Varys of the story.
Yeah.
Which I wish we would have got more of, but instead she's just kind of not. Yeah. Got a tiny bit of that in that one episode. Maybe with Otto coming back next episode, we're going to get more of her actually doing her thing correctly. We'll see.
Yeah, I was hoping for callbacks on her too in this, of that could have been a little bit of conflict and drama between Daemon and Lena, of oh, what about your Asian hole? But they did nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so that has been it for today's episode. Once again, we are recording live from Davinci's Dreamworks 2 comic shop. We got comics, we got games, Dragon Pits. Again, Dark Knights of Steel. That book is effing amazing, really good. So yeah, check us out. And we are on Instagram at House of the Dragon Pod. Of course, please subscribe to both audio and here in the channel, youtube.com/above and Batman Beyond. And then audio, we are on Spotify. So I have been Sir Benjamin. Thank you for joining us in entering
House of the Dragon.